A very good evening and welcome to the State of Scottish Football. It's Thursday evening. The Thursday Club is back. It's myself and Mr. Regan Stevenson. Regan, a big day in Scottish football, but first and foremost, how is your fine self?
David, I'm doing well, thank you. It's a big day in Scottish football, definitely, yep.
Absolutely. So, as you can tell, Steven Gerrard is off to England. He's left Glasgow Rangers to pursue a new opportunity at Aston Villa Football Club. And Regan, I looked at this by saying a good move for Aston Villa, but maybe not such a good move for Rangers. But I also look at this by saying, has Gerrard left the club at the right time, or has he left the club at the wrong time with a Premier Sports Cup semi-final coming up against Hibs?
I think it's a big opportunity for Gerrard, but I'm still surprised that he's went at this time because of obviously the big semi-final next week. But I think it's a it's I think it's a difficult one because he stopped 10 in a row last year. But I think Rangers fans wanted to see Gerrard take them to the Champions League. But obviously that's not a possibility anymore.
But then you look at last season, Regan, and go, as much as Rangers were very good and were consistent and did everything they had to do in order to go and win that league and stop 10 in a row,
Yeah,
it was very it was the mediocre. The standard was very mediocre last season.
yeah, and I don't mean to get at Rangers fans here, but would Steven Gerrard see those financial results last week and say, well, is it worth hanging around when Aston Villa's going to offer me 200 million in the transfer market when he sees that Rangers have got a loss of 23 million pounds either, David?
But I look at this, right, and it's the Newcastle job. The Newcastle owners just took over, right? But I look at Newcastle and their job life cycle. You're probably going to get 18 months with the new owner involved. But Aston Villa, you're probably going to get 3 years or 3.5 years or 4 years because that's what the owners have gave, obviously, Gerrard. And looking at it on paper, I think Aston Villa is the better move for Gerrard.
Yeah, I think it's the better move. But what I would say from Gerrard's point of view is that it's a bit of a strange one in terms um, of, like I said, Champions League, because he's not going to get Champions League at Aston Villa. From that point of view, um, I just want to ask you some. What do you think the realistic ambition is for a club like Aston Villa?
Well, the realistic expectation is probably mid-table Premier League. Now, Christian Parzo and his directors have made it very clear today in statements and having spoken to Sky Sports that they're looking to finish in the top half and indeed go to Europe. And Gerrard would be backed with that. He's been offered a good financial clout to go and match Aston Villa's aspirations. But whether that becomes a match made in heaven, time will tell because there is a long way to go. Aston Villa are probably similar in terms of squad size to Rangers right now. They need adjustments in certain areas, and Rangers are pretty much such the same. Rangers is a side that they have good players in certain positions, but also in other positions they have players that are liked, including their striker's position. The fact that Gerrard hasn't added to his striker role in his 3.5 years in charge is a black mark against him as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a strange one in terms of Rangers overall, because you would say, who are they going to attract now? Are they going to try and go for a big name, or are they going to go for a steady pair of hands?
I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has been linked with the job, and I think he would be a good appointment for Rangers. Obviously, there's Alex Neil, Dirk McInnes, and Frank Lampard been linked with the job. I think McInnes and Neil. I think the job is far too big for the both of them. Right? I think for Lampard, it's a case of the unknown. He did very well at Derby, unlucky in the playoff final at Derby. Went to Chelsea, did very well in terms of winning the Europa League. The following season didn't quite. Sorry, Lampard didn't win the Europa League. Beg your pardon. It's the Italian guy. Beg your pardon. That's one error in me, and I'm already 4.5 minutes in. But no, sorry, Lampard did well in terms of the transfer ban that they got in terms of getting Chelsea into fourth, and then the following season just didn't click off for Lampard. But Lampard has the potential to be a hit or a miss. So if you're asking me who the ex-Rangers manager possibly could be, it's Van Bronckhorst. But it depends what money's available. It depends what financial uncertainty there is at football club. I think that $4 million will alleviate some sort of pressure financially. So yeah, there's a lot of debate and a lot of rumour filling and a lot of questions to be asked over the next few days. I would say.
Yeah, because I'm just going to be very interested on who the Rangers fans would want because of such a big season. Do they want someone like Derek, or do they want a big name?
Well,
Do you think they
this,
would
this is
accept?
the point. This is the point I'll make. Derek McInnes, because of the animosity and the friction around the last appointment, which was half and half, I should say, half Derek McInnes and half the Rangers board. The Rangers board came out with some bizarre statements saying concomitant and all this kind of stuff. Well, Derek McInnes didn't exactly hold himself in fine glory either, and I'm pretty sure there'll be one or two Rangers fans that will turn to the dark side of this and say Derek McInnes turned us down the last time. He has a wee bit of history with us, despite being a player at that football club, and we don't want him at this football club. Also, the end of Derek McInnes' tenure at Rangers, Aberdeen, must be a situation which Rangers fans will look at and say, I don't know if this is going to be a situation that we want to evolve here. Because I'll be honest with you, if Rangers do go for the McInnes route, I'll be deadly honest with you by saying it might reignite Celtic a little bit. And that sounds a bit silly when I say that, but I'll be honest when I say it by saying McInnes would be a state of the unknown again. Van Bronckhorst is the man for me. Van Bronckhorst, yeah, he's been out of the job for a few years. He's been out in the management team for a few years. But also, what you get from Van Bronckhorst is his coaching at a very good standard in Feyenoord. He's also, as was Lampard, of course, he's also coached at Chelsea and arguably the biggest league in the world. So there's a lot of choices, but it'll be up to the Rangers board to see what's the best fit for them. And this is a big appointment for Rangers coming up there. The Rangers board have to make sure they get this right, because if not, I think advantage chance to Celtic as far as I'm concerned, because as the guys in the Celtic state of mind touched about today, Postecoglou needs backed in January, and you could probably agree with that, Regan.
Yeah, I think he definitely does. But I spoke with Paul Lilly and I said I don't trust the Celtic board to back Postecoglou fully.
Obviously,
I just want to ask you something else, David. Do you think if they go for someone like Derek, then it'd be kind of like when Celtic appointed Neil Lennon, where they took a backward step?
well, I don't know if Celtic fans will agree with me here. Brendan Rodgers to Neil Lennon was one dramatic step down. That was one bad appointment. When I went and won the Scottish Cup against Hearts that same season that Rodgers left. I also look at this by saying Celtic bringing the Lennon after Rodgers was like having a lovely steak to having a sausage roll. That's the comparisons that I look at here.
Yeah, because I don't think Rangers fans would accept him wholeheartedly because of that knocking back in the past. Someone else that I've seen spoke about was Davidson at St Johnson.
Yeah, I'm just going to clarify Lampard because we also been speaking about it for the Rangers job, and he's Mojo Rising. You're probably right. He probably will be away to Norwich, but he is in Rangers' or the bookies' mind. So I have to obviously put Lampard's thoughts in there, but also Lampard will probably be back in the game. And from a state of Scottish football persuasion, I also look at Frank Lampard by saying if he goes at Norwich, I think it reignites Billy Gilmour at Norwich.
Yeah, I think it definitely does because he's had previously worked with him at Chelsea.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Do you think it's sink or swim time, Gerrard going to Aston Villa?
In terms of what, David?
Sink or swim, just in the basis of much more fiercer competition. I don't just mean Celtic here, I mean Hearts and United. The latter two probably not going to have as much of a challenge in terms of winning leagues and winning, being up there come May. But also, I look at this by saying there's much more fiercer competition from Celtic compared to what there was 12 months ago.
Yeah, well, David, I just see this as Gerrard speaking to his representatives and them saying to him, right, if you want this Liverpool job in, say, 3 years' time, you need to go to the English Premier League. I
Absolutely.
think that's simple as that.
I'm seeing a lot of comments here, by the way, saying, get the radio on. What's wrong with me, Mr. Stevenson? I'm pretty sure we're speaking. We're happy. We're happy people today, gents and girls for that matter. We're just happy that Gerrard has left because obviously we're not Rangers fans, and as much as Gerrard's been an absolute good guy for Scottish football, and he's gave Rangers a lot of good moments. It's probably a reality check for Rangers in a way, Regan.
Yeah, David, because I think it's a reality check in terms of Rangers fans thought Gerrard was going to be there for a very long time, but as Brendan Rodgers showed, it can switch very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Rangers.
But what I would say to that commentator, the person in the comments, I would say that I think there's only one place to tune in tonight, David.
I think there's a lot of debate right now whether they're going to listen to us two or listen to Clyde One. I mean, Clyde One, they do some brilliant work, but mix with the two, you'll be just fine. We'll buy a pint at the end of the night. Don't worry. Rangers, I thought Regan were reaching the end of their cycle. McGregor and others were looking to be out the door, and there was a lot of permutations with regards to players leaving. So this looked like being the end of an era or the beginning of the end for Rangers.
Yeah, David, and it definitely wouldn't surprise me if Gerrard come in and took some Rangers players to Villa Park.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, because I mean, Al McGregor was on the verge of retiring. Whether he stays and plays or not is a situation that's yet to be confirmed. But there's a lot of players there that were either going to be leaving the club or indeed retiring. Steven Davis was another one.
Yeah, I mean, he's been absolutely brilliant for Rangers, so it's just great to see him doing so well.
Mm-hmm, yeah, but as for Rangers, you're probably right in what you say earlier on. Probably the Rangers' financial results last week had a say. This was probably in the back of Gerrard's mind, irrespective of what happened on Sunday against Ross County.
Yeah, I mean, David, just look at Aston Villa. They spent 200 million in the last two transfer windows, so they've got money there.
Because Gerrard made it clear himself that he was very critical of the fact of his budget and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the budget's a big part, especially when Rangers are going for the Champions League. I've spoke about on the show. I've spoke about. But I just want to ask you a question as well. See, in terms of Rangers, do you think that he'll go back into his contacts book in January?
I think he will, and I wouldn't just say Scottish football either. I would say English football and indeed in the rest of the continent as well. And he could probably take some players off of Rangers, but take some cream of the crop, such as your Kents and your Taverniers and your Morellises. There is that possible permutation behind it, but also the other side, there is the possibility that Gerrard could reach the continent, which he probably wouldn't have been able to do at Rangers because of the finance difference between Rangers and Villa.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be totally different for him because because he's playing against better teams and better managers as well. One thing I did find funny, David, was on the 5th of December, we'll be able to see the Brendan Rodgers against Steven Gerrard, Leicester against Aston Villa.
Regan, I'll have the popcorn out that day. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Christian, was you waiting to say something there?
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, and he's also got a trip to Anfield as well, so he'll be looking forward to that.
That's the following week, is it?
Yeah, yeah, David, I think those fixtures are pretty close to each other.
It's actually funny as well because he actually plays, if he takes a Norwich job, of course, Frank Lampard on that Wednesday night after the Liverpool game. So there's a lot of dramatic scenes possibly going to be entering either Villa Park or indeed Aston Villa Football Club?
Yeah, I think it's going to be so interesting though, because you've got Patrick Vieira, a former midfielder, Frank Lampard, and you got Gerrard. So you've got so many good players as well. So it's going to be so good to watch. But in terms of Scottish football, I think it's a big blow for them as well, because Steven Gerrard was a big attraction for Sky, the main broadcaster for Scottish football.
How influential was the relationship between Gerrard and Christian Parslow behind Gerrard taking Aston Villa job, do you feel?
Yeah, I think it was absolutely massive, to be honest. And also that I think the doctor at Rangers was also the doctor at Aston Villa, because I think I was reading a thing on the Rangers website there that the only person that's staying from Gerrard's backroom team is Stuart, the
Goalkeeping coach.
the goalkeeping coach, David. Yeah, so I think it's very interesting that it's like kind of the Eddie Howe approach that we had at Celtic, where Gerrard has like 10 people that he takes with him.
And that's the thing. The likes of McAllister and Beale can't be undermined in this situation. They are huge members of Gerrard's coaching staff, which has probably helped Gerrard in the last few years.
Yeah, David, totally. And you need to remember that McAllister, he was a big part of at Villa Park as well, because he was there when Gerard Houllier was the manager. So he's probably said, right, Stephen, this is a great opportunity for you.
Yep. I also look at this by saying, if he doesn't do well in England, what's next for Gerrard?
I think what's next is the Liverpool job. But like you said, if he doesn't do well, then maybe the England job. Because
I look at this and say, it's a massive gamble.
Yeah, it's a massive gamble, but I think someone like Steven Gerrard goes into Aston Villa. I think it helps the players right away, because look at, from a bias point of view, I mean, you look at someone like John McGinn, right? John McGinn's going to improve so much with a manager like Steven Gerrard, who's played at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. I also look at this by saying Gerrard was very quick to go and thank the Rangers supporters and indeed players and the board today. He says, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everybody associated with Glasgow Rangers for giving me the opportunity to manage such an iconic football club. Helping them secure a record-breaking 55th league title will always hold a special place in my heart. I would like to wish these players, staff and supporters the very best for the future. I find it funny, though, that it's the last paragraph in the statement that he makes there.
Yeah, I think it's a statement that is obviously thanking them, because he gave them he was the man that was obviously the chance to stop 10 in a row, and he's done that. So I think Rangers fans will be thanking him for that. David, but do you think there'll be a better taste in the move from the Rangers board and the Rangers fans?
Regan, thank you very much, sir. You've brought me on perfectly to my next question, and that's going to be about the fact that some comments on social media, understandably so, I may add, about rats and that kind of expression. One, I think it's wrong, and two, I can understand why it's getting done. I think people are forgetting how good last season was from a Rangers persuasion, winning the league at a canter.
Yeah, and I think we also need to remember that as much as we love the state of Scottish football every night at 6 p.m, Scottish football is in a different landscape from the Premier League down in England. So I think when Brendan Rodgers got the first opportunity to go down there, and when Steven Gerrard did, both of them have took it.
The players were told this morning about Gerrard going, but no contact with captain. I find that very disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, I heard through different sources yesterday that Gerrard didn't speak to James Tavernier, and I find that's surprising.
That's because the big man was busy in Twitch.
so we, David, but no, I think that it's a bit of a strange one that James Tavernier's always been there for Gerrard, and he's also the captain of the club, that he's not being told. Because surely they would have a good personal relationship, but also a good relationship that through the Rangers dressing room. I find it really strange.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I appreciate this comment from Tom Messi saying, I'm a big fan of David. So, Tom, thank you very much. Much appreciated. But I understand I'm not everybody's steak and gravy. So, thank you very much for that, my friend. Much appreciated. It's actually funny as well. I understand it's International Week and it's a time to obviously calm down a little bit, but I find it a bit funny that Gerrard's staff were in London celebrating Milsom's 40th rather than being in Glasgow. I mean, had this situation not arose, they'd have probably still been in Scotland celebrating Milsom's 40th, would they have not?
Yeah, I think all these situations are very difficult to understand, but from Stephen's point of view, they've probably just seen it that a lot of the time they've got family down there and the situations are different. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting the next few weeks to see who is going to be the brand new Rangers manager.
Mm-hmm. Really good point put in here by Joe Potter. From Celtic and Rangers to Leicester and Villa as a wake-up call for our game. I agree with that, Regan.
Yeah, and I don't mean that this to be bad on Scottish football, right? But I think it just shows that I mean, I seen a thing the other day on Twitter. It says we have the worst TV deal in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if we have the worst TV deal in Europe, surely that's going to put off big managers, and that is the point, that we are a stepping stone for people.
I think the start of this, if I'm going to be honest with you, was the Malmo game. They weren't prepared to gamble on Champions League qualification moving forward, which ultimately, this will probably be kept internal, but if we're going to be honest here, the Malmo game was the start of the problems, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking this today. Might this be why Rangers were not playing well from the start of the season? That they knew Gerrard was unhappy, that he didn't qualify for Champions League. Might this be the same kind of situation where the Celtic players last year, where they were unhappy they didn't go?
Mm-hmm. And also, another crack in the rain began to appear because Gerrard was critical of the lack of spending at that club.
Yeah, for me that just sent alarm bells, because I'm going to tell you something else, David. Remember when John McGinn saga at Celtic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's when Brendan Rodgers wanted to leave. So it's no surprise to me that as soon as they told him there might not be money available, then he started to not be happy.
See, upon reflection here, look at that Malmo game in question. I understand this is about Gerrard going to Aston Villa, but I think we need to touch on a really good point here. That Malmo game, I think Rangers underestimated Malmo in a way. I mean, Thomason gave the mind games, but see what Thomason was right in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. We spoke about Rangers in the striker department, but Alfredo Morelos, well, he didn't play in the first leg of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's hugely frustrating because I mean, I thought it was a missed opportunity in terms of Rangers getting into Europe that time in question, or Champions League for that matter.
Yeah, David, it definitely was, and now they're struggling to finish second in Europa. And I find that interesting that when even when you go back to last season, right? I was looking at Gerrard's comments, and he said we need to get better quality through the door to compete in Europe, and this was when they got put out of the last 16 of the Europa League. So this has not been a problem since the Champions League. He said that when they went to the Europa League this time last year. So in terms of that, I look back at that today and I think, well, he said that for a year, and obviously people thought it was a great thing that Rangers they didn't sell anyone, but in the see when it goes to the transfer market, Rangers didn't bring anyone in, so.
Regan, what a living room we've got. Is the guy in the right superimposed on a black and white background?
No, I'm not. Thank you for that.
That's the second night in a row your living room's been complimented for something very, very positive indeed. Assessing Gerrard's time in charge at Rangers, 64% win rate, 120. This is in terms of all competitions, I may add. 125 wins, 42 draws, 26 losses. The stumbling block, only one trophy out of 9.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at a stat today as well, David, that Ronnie Dyler, Davidson, John Hughes, Tommy Wright, McIntyre, they've all won the same or more trophies than Steven Gerrard at Rangers.
Yeah. I mean, Gerrard's probably spent twice the money that Carl Davidson, I'll give you a genuine example here, has spent at St Johnston.
Yeah, but David, I would say the fact, right, I would like to see Davidson in at Rangers, but I don't think he would be able to be in there. Simple from the fact that Rangers fans wouldn't be accepting of him as well. But I think that's a problem we've got in Scotland, right? Because if you look at someone like the club from, I think it's in Norway, right? See Potter, that is manager of Brighton.
Or Graham Potter.
Yeah, Graham Potter. So he managed in Norway, right? Then he got a job at Swansea. Then he got a job in Brighton. So I don't think that maybe as Scottish football we can accept people that come from foreign leagues, such as Ange Postecoglou. I mean, you look at when Ange Postecoglou was here, people weren't very supportive of Celtic bringing him in, but just look what he's done.
Do you think Gerrard's done a Brendan Rodgers? There's a comment came in here. I'm not going to put it up, but do you think Gerrard has done a Brendan Rodgers in terms of the timing and the way he left Rangers?
I don't think he's done a Brendan Rodgers simply because Brendan Rodgers was going for 10 in a row and how important that was to Celtic supporters. But what I would say is it's going to be a very, very, not a very nice time for Rangers fans. And I know a lot of them that are not very happy today. So.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. As much as the comments on social media about rats and all the negativity that comes along with social media is a little bit over the top, I also look at this by saying, on the other side, yeah, I can understand where some of these Rangers fans are indeed coming from.
David, but the simple fact, see if you or Paul or someone writes a book, Steven Gerrard will be remembered as the guy that stopped 10 in a row. That'll be it.
Yeah, and absolutely. That's the whole thing. I mean, he did very well in terms of his win percentage, but whenever it came to the big games before last season, he almost crumbled at the final stage.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that when post lockdown, Rangers got beat off a Brian Rice side at Ibrox, and then Tavernier said that Rangers struggle with the crowd. So yeah, definitely.
Now, I understand other radio stations wanting their own opinions and things like that, but I thought Barry Ferguson, that Go Radio suggested, was a baffling choice. He's at all athletic in League One, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I just think that maybe they're trying to speak about the big topic in Scottish football, but I don't think it was right to put Barry on the spot like that, especially when someone phoned up and said, "Well, I don't think Barry's right for the job," and then so you get, even though they mentioned him for him, that person wasn't happy that it was being mentioned. What I would say on Barry is, I think he's a good coach. He obviously done well, but I think he would be better for a number 2 or a number 3.
I think if he goes into that type of environment, that type of football club, I would agree with you. He did a terrific job at Celtic, got them up to League Two. Alloa, it's the start of a project for him at Alloa. Alloa's threaded through some great managers over the years. But for people to suggest he's going to be the ex-Rangers manager, I thought was baffling.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing about Barry is, as well, is that he's got such a high regard for Rangers and Rangers fans, and does he want to tarnish that reputation as well, David?
Yeah, no, absolutely. What are you ex for Rangers?
Say that again, sorry?
Right, sorry, what next for Rangers?
What next?
Aye.
I think it's very difficult. I think they just need to hopefully get someone in the next couple of days and try and plan for that big semi-final next week. What I would say is I would expect a manager to come in the next 5 days so we can get used to the players. Maybe for the big semi-final.
I would rule out Marty being in the dugout for that Premier Sports Cup semi-final against Hibs. I wouldn't rule it out.
I don't think it will be. Just simply for the fact that I don't think Rangers are going to such a big game with that hanging over their heads.
Because that's the thing. You take a Marty, hope that he steadies the ship, hope he gets some wins for Rangers, or do you panic in an appointment?
No, I don't. I'm not saying panic, but Rangers have got a director of football from Southampton. Is
Ross
it Ross
Wilson.
Wilson? So he'll be looking at players and managers as well. So no, I'm very confident for Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And I mean, as much as this is isn't the best of timing, this will all be forgotten about in 10 days' time. And it's important for the Rangers, everybody connected to Rangers Football Club, to be professional at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rangers will be professional, but I'm just wondering for you, David. Do you think that the in terms of the Rangers players, do you think they'll be very down in the dressing room and maybe that'll affect them?
I think down's the better expression, yeah. I mean, the fact that Gerrard hasn't contacted them and expressed his faults or expressed his views. Obviously, a lot of these situations would have to go internal first and foremost. But the fact that Gerrard hasn't maybe held a Zoom call or held indeed a discussion taking place within the proximity of Rangers Training Centre is indeed disrespectful. I understand that players will probably be away at this moment in time because it's an international break, and obviously players are away in duty. But also, if you want to demand an authority or a respectful authority, beg your pardon, then we need to be a little bit more respectful as far as I'm concerned. So it's a huge disappointment from my point of view. Thanks very much to everybody for sending their comments. You'll be delighted to know we're going on to Scotland. Regan.
David, I'm very much looking forward to Scotland tomorrow. I think we can do very well. So I'm looking forward to talking about this.
First and foremost, the big news today: Scott McTominay has got a throat virus. A massive frustration for Steve Clark's side heading into tomorrow's game in Chisholm.
Yeah, but I've got no worries with John Souttar. I think he can do a very good job, David.
Aye, who comes in for free at the back as far as you're concerned?
For me, it's got to be John Souttar because he's playing very well at Tynecastle. So yeah, for me, it's him.
Alongside Henry and Tierney, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, Scott McTominay has been a massive player for Scotland, and it's not as big a miss as Dykes or Christie for that matter, because they're obviously more attacking options. But in terms of our defensive duties, we need all the defensive players we can get, especially with handling not being available. But it's up for John Souttar to go in and deliver a good level of performance tomorrow night in Chisholm.
Yeah, I mean, do we know if McTominay will be available for Monday night?
I don't think that conclusion's been reached yet.
Okay, because he would be a very big miss as well. But no, I think in terms of Scotland tomorrow, I expect us to go and get the 3 points and do a very good job.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. What's the likelihood of a makeshift team tomorrow night, Regan?
I think it'll be a makeshift team, but I think it'll be a team that can do a very good job. Like I said on Tuesday, I would quite like to see Stuart Armstrong play, David.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And when I look at this, I think Conor McGregor has to start tomorrow, just for his composure on the ball.
Yeah, I think McGregor is very, very good. I think he'll be very, very good for Scotland to play him tomorrow.
Because that's the bottom line. We, in terms of our system and our philosophy when we played against the Pharaohs, we missed his ability to get in the ball. I'll show you a wee bit here. when we were trying to get in the ball here. I'm trying to be a bit of a tacticianist here. When we were trying to get in the ball here, we were putting out wide, right? Under McGregor, you'd have that option. It would just be a plan A option. It'd either be in the forward row or it would be out wide. Regan, my future Steve Clark manager, first and foremost. Steve Clark's successor, sorry.
David doing tactics, that could be a state of mind project, Paul.
but honestly, because McGregor wasn't playing, it was flat. It meant instead of playing the ball forward, we're playing the ball out wide, and it was coming a little bit turgid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very important that we move the ball very quick tomorrow, because I think they'll play a low block. So yeah, I think that your tactics are spot on there, David. I think you've got a future manager in you.
I've got a football brain. That's all I can say. But also, this Moldova setup like a Pharaohs, they want to be organised, they want to be compact tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think the start that you said on Tuesday that we've not a very good record against Moldova, so hopefully we can change that tomorrow.
Absolutely. Also, I look at this. I think we need to get tomorrow out the way first and see where we're at, because as I mentioned on Tuesday, there's a lot of players that are bookings and could potentially miss Monday night's game. But I think the biggest priority has to be tomorrow night first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, if we get through it, then that's the most important thing, David. So no, I think we can do very well.
Absolutely. Despite the players that are unavailable, your expectations won't change, will they?
No, the expectations on Steve Clark are very high because he got us to a major tournament. So I'm expecting Scotland to do very good things, because I feel that he's got that expectation on him now that people expect Scotland to get to major tournaments very regularly.
Absolutely. By the way, I've got I've got the biggest cheese on my face right now, Regan, because this man has came in saying beyond a joke that Tony Ralston ate the Scotland squad. Now, first and foremost, from a Celtic persuasion, a good thing that he's not in the squad because he needs a rest.
Yeah, he does need a rest, David. But you spoke to him on Sunday, and you spoke on the show on Tuesday. I think Scotland could do with him tomorrow. I do agree with the commenter.
Absolutely. But I, in terms of tomorrow, we need to be proactive, and that's why I think Patterson needs to start tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've spoke about Stephen O'Donnell, but I think Patterson would definitely be the right choice.
And I mean, O'Donnell will carry a bit of an influence. But I think Patterson will be a lot more effective on the ball for Scotland tomorrow.
Yeah, especially when we're going to see the lion's share of the ball. And I think Patterson's a very good ball player as well, David.
Absolutely. I'm trying to get a... Oh, here we go. Here we go. Brown Warrior coming in here saying, you need to send those tactics to us on TSoSF. Yeah, don't worry. I was watching. I heard the big man had a shocker. Don't you worry. I Warren Russell. I've got the faith. If you're listening in, Warren Russell, I've got the faith, right? But that was a shocker on Monday night. It needs rectification this Monday coming, and obviously it's a big Monday coming with obviously the ACSOM Angels 11 and indeed the Scotland v Denmark game. And if you've not had a chance to read or listen, we are obviously doing a book on John Robertson. We did a video interview on John Robertson and Craig Levine. It's on our YouTube page. I was the man interviewing. If you've not had a chance to listen, then go ahead. Is tomorrow about getting the win rather than the performance, or would you? It's probably imperative that we get the win, and the performance is a bonus.
David, I don't think Scotland deal with the pressure of these games, so I think 3 points is the most important thing. What I would say on the football manager for Russell and Laura, I've got my banner outside Celtic Park at the moment. I'm not too happy.
I was watching it Monday night. I was like, I could fancy Russell and Laura getting a big win here. And then when they played against Rangers, it was potential taxi. If they don't win this Monday night, I think there'll be a protest outside Russell Boyce's house. Put it that way.
Definitely, and I'll be there.
I hope the big man's listening, by the way. I'd like a wee dig from the big man. I hope he's listening in. But yeah, back on to tomorrow. It's probably about getting the win, and we need a goal out of doors as far as I'm concerned tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, just to settle those nerves that Scotland will have because as we know, David, Scotland don't deal with pressure too well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We need to make sure that there's not a situation where we need to rely on that last game against Denmark now.
No, because as we know, Denmark are a very, very good team, and we don't want to go into that last game scared of not getting the 3 points.
Now, Billy Gilmore, he was a player we touched upon on Tuesday night. He's a player that's not had a lot of game time, but I think this is because of the relationship with Flack. I think he could come in tomorrow night and play his style of game and play with a freedom that he maybe hasn't had in the last few weeks at Norwich.
Yeah, I think he's a mainstay for the Scotland team. He's got so much composure and he just helps them because he's playing at a very good level and he's very good technically as well, David.
Absolutely. We touched on Carl McGregor. But overall, I think to get this result tomorrow night, the whole team will be pivotal tomorrow.
Yeah, because I'm hopefully Craig Gordon's not too busy, but I think he'll be very important as well, David. Do you not think?
Yep, and now don't worry, I am saying it's a must-win game. It is as simple as that. But obviously, Moldova game is a must-win. That's simple, Regan.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget we only beat them 1-0 in Glasgow as well. So yeah, it's definitely a must-win, but it's a game that we should be winning.
There we are, Regan. Protest outside Russell's house. Too funny.
No, I'm telling you, I'll definitely be there. So you better win on Monday. I'll be there.
Russell, the pressure is on. I repeat,
Aye.
the pressure is on.
Me and David are coming.
It'd be a long way for me to go considering I'm 3 hours up the road. But oh well, I'll still be there. I'll still be there. If it means I get a beer and a pie,
I mean, look at your taxi. It's all right.
Do you think, go back up to Gerrard very briefly? I missed out the question I was going to ask you. Has he earned the Villa job ultimately?
Say that again, sorry, David.
Do you think Gerrard, we'll go back up to Gerrard very briefly. Do you think he's earned the Villa job?
Do I think he's earned the job? No. Simply for the fact I don't. Let's be honest, right? Do you think if Derek McInnes got one title in 9 at Rangers, he'd be linked with Aston Villa?
No, he'd be away.
No.
If there was any club in the same proximity or indeed same similar stature as that, he'd be off the Championship in England club, or indeed sacked if things didn't chart, or if there wasn't an upturn in fortunes.
David, Neil Lennon has got so many titles with Celtic, but do I think he's a good manager? No. So I don't think. I think Gerrard's got this on it being Steven Gerrard. He's played at Anfield for a long time.
Lennon was never about a style. Lennon was about winning games of football.
Yeah, but then he would say to you, well, he's won so many more titles than Steven Gerrard.
Mm-hmm. But he did it because he did it through not playing too attractive a style, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean the football to watch was terrible. It was really bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And as somebody touched it here, Lenny was a pragmatist. That's not a word I've had to use in a long time, I must say. So well done, Brown Money, for getting that one in. Much appreciated, my friend. Back on to tomorrow night. It's about getting the job done, and then on Monday, I think it's just supporting a game, because you look at that and go, it's a potential advantage, Springer, if we can go and get 4 points out of 6.
Yeah, I mean I spoke about that on Tuesday.
Minimum 4 points out of 6. I mean,
yeah, I mean David, I spoke about that on Tuesday. I think in terms of that, we just need to hope that Portugal win and Spain win, and then we should be in the seeded section for the playoff. But I think it's also important to build some some level of Scotland knowing that we can win games. So I think it's important that we go into this with a good mentality to get the 3 points. Even though,
Absolutely.
even though if we do, then Glasgow will be a party place to be on Monday night.
Absolutely. The thing is that if we're 0-0 after 70 minutes, there'll be a lot of nail biting when we're having our pints in the pub tomorrow night.
Yeah, David, there will be, but I think that's just the way you go with Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, we've yet to be clarified, Regan, but it looks like we're having a Scotland special on the show tomorrow night. It's going to be our very own Colin Watt. You'll be pleased to know, gents and girls, that we've got ladies, beg your pardon, that we've got a Greenock lad and Colin Watt and Craig Leach from Edinburgh is not too bad either. So you've got
Yeah,
a
that'll be good.
central belt contingent tomorrow night. You've not got to settle in the Aberdeen and my fine self. So you'll get a fine change in this show tomorrow night for a fine change.
No, David, that'll be that. I think that'll be a very good show tomorrow.
Yeah. I want to clarify when I mentioned Lennon that it was the second spell more about, not the first spell, the second spell. The second spell, he'd win games of football, but he wouldn't play at an attractive level. His first spell was very good. His first spell in terms of getting the wins, and the fact is, the back four, somebody's made a very good point here. Lustig, Ambrose, Mawson, and Matthews. That's a back four that you look at nowadays and go, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a very good back four. Don't forget, they were the players that played against Barcelona as well. But what I would say on Neil Lennon's first spell in charge of Celtic was that Rangers weren't obviously in the league.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
And I think when Neil Lennon was first in charge, I think Rangers just went into administration. So I think it's a very difficult one. But I think he's been a very good manager. But I think last season definitely played its part in it.
How important is tomorrow night in terms of not replicating the events of Belgrade, but starting our new chapter?
Yeah, I think Steve Clark will know that we want to build something with Scotland. I don't think he's a kind of Steven Gerrard where he'll kind of go if he gets the chance. I think I think Steve Clark knows that he's building something very special with Scotland, and he knows. I think everyone in the country knows that Steve Clark is the perfect man for Scotland. So I think we've got a very good manager. We've got a very good team. So I think it's a time to be proud to be a Scotland fan again, David.
By the way, when you're fresh with us, gents, ladies and gents, beg your pardon, make sure you tune in to Scotland HQ on Twitter as John McGinn and Kenny McLean help us mark a year since an unforgettable night in Belgrade. Tonight at 7 p.m. right here on Twitter from the gantry. Here's how we. So that promises to be fun. On Kenny McLean, do you think there's a space for him in the Scotland side because of Gilmore, because of McGinn, because of McGregor?
David, I better be nice to him because I've got two of his tops up in my bedroom.
Yeah.
From last year when Scotland played Belgium. No, I think Kenny's a very good player. What we would say on him, he's got a very difficult job to misplace any of the players that in that Scotland midfield.
Absolutely. And the thing for tomorrow is the fact that we've had some good memories over the years. This needs to be another big memory and indeed moment tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I think these moments can be special for families and households and pubs to remember for 4 years to come. So, no, I think this is a very important game for Steve Clark.
Absolutely. And if we can go and qualify for the World Cup, no beers exchanged in Qatar, I may qualify, but it would be a monumental achievement as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I don't mean mean this in a bad way, but I think you look at the job that Steve Clark's done since he's come in as well, because I think Scotland were in a very bad way. We got beat 4-0 by I think it was Kazakhstan as well, David.
Yeah, that was a very, very long time ago now, and we've went in an upward trend ever since then, Regan.
Yeah, I mean it's been fantastic to watch. Um, it's just so good you can get back to watch them. I mean, look at the last game that we played Israel 3-2. I mean that game was just so good to be at.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you a wee bit of an insight into Moldova here. They're 181st in the world. According to the FIFA World Ranking, Moldova are the fourth worst nation in Europe. If we don't do the job, first and foremost, how embarrassing would it be?
I don't know if it would be as embarrassing, but I would say that these are the games that the boys have to be so professional because the whole nation will be expecting us to do the job, and you know what the tabloids are like in Scotland.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of happy, by the way, that somebody's agreeing with my Lennon views, saying second time around Lennon was tactically inept. It showed it how the team was playing. A lot of good conversations tonight. Obviously, we're obviously trying to provide our opinion, and I think we're doing a good job of doing so, Regan. So we'll keep it going.
Yeah,
On the form,
definitely.
Moldova have lost their last 5 games. It's a bit boring because of the light. But position in qualified group was sixth. They've scored 4, conceded 24. Their last home draw was this year against the Faroes, and the last home win was against Andorra in 2019. On the squad breakdown, their manager is Roberto Borden. The captain of the last 4 matches and most capped players is Igor Armas, who's a defender for FC Voluntari. Regan, do you know anything about FC Voluntari?
No, I don't.
Well,
Have
there
you
you
got any
go.
info? Have you got any info, David? David's the manager now.
Right, Regan, we'll get on to end the show, but get your team thinking, and we'll come up with a conclusion as to what we think about the Dream Scotland team for tomorrow night. Most international goals, 7, always 7, for Radu Cinsari, who's a forward for Greek side Shamfi, if that's pronounced correctly. Key players are Ion Nicolascu, who's a striker for Streda in the Montenegro. Moldova's top goal scorer this campaign with 2 goals, and a midfielder called Artur Ionita, who's a midfielder for Benevento in Italy, who has the most caps behind captain Armas with 59. Their squad breakdown is 10 players in the Moldova League, 2 in the Romanian League, 1 player in Serie B, which is that player in question, Ionita. That player in Greece is Xavi. 1 player in Ukraine and the other players in Europe. No players in Great Britain, of course. No injuries for Moldova tomorrow night, but they have a suspension in the name of Oleg Ryabkuk, who's a defender from Olympiacos. So he's a big player in terms of Moldova and try to keep things clean at the back, basically. But okay, we are nearly out of time. So, Regan, I'm going to play a 3. What would you play? 3-4-1-2?
I'd play 3-5-2.
3-5-2. Right, okay. Next, we'll play 3-5-2. We'll go for who we're going to go in goals.
Craig Gordon.
Gordon, Hendry, Suter, and
Tierney.
Tierney. Yes. On Tierney, the fact that he's not played in the last 4 for Arsenal, but still probably comes at contention, that's probably a sign of how he's not exactly 100% fit for Arsenal right now, but will come into the country and do a fantastic job.
Yeah, I think it just shows that everyone's totally into what Steve Clark's trying to do with Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Patterson and Robertson is your 2 wing backs.
Yep.
Who's your 3 centre midfielders?
McGinn, McGregor, and Billy.
McGinn, McGregor, and Gilmore. And who's your 2 strikers?
It's Jordan Brown.
Jacob Brown.
Jacob Brown and Che Adams. The only reason I'm going for Jacob Brown is that I see he's been doing a lot of press during the week, and I see that Steve Clark's been talking about him.
Okay, I know I understand it's a bit boring, but here's our team for tomorrow night. Where's this game won and lost for you, Regan, tomorrow?
I'm going to say from Tierney and Robertson, because if they can put good balls in the box, then I think Scotland will do very, very well. I don't think the midfield battle should be a problem because Moldova, I think you've said they're the fourth worst team in Europe. So, yeah, I don't think it should be a problem.
This is why I think Patterson and Robertson have to play tomorrow night, because I'll use my tactical hypnosis again. I'll get it written down. You've got Patterson this side. I'll bring it up. Patterson on this side. You've got Robertson at that side, right? Robertson will be able to ping balls at the strikers. The Moldova defence will be naive on the ball, right? Patterson will be the same situation. If you play O'Donnell, Patterson will be that forward-thinking player. O'Donnell won't have that same threat as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but what Steve Clark would say to you is Stephen O'Donnell is very reliable. He knows him. But what I would say on your point is I totally agree, because it's not a time for Scotland to be reliable and dependable, because this is a game where we play our best players and do the country very proud.
By the way, Brown, I understand it's probably the light more than anything else, but it's still a better job than Russell Boyce. I can assure you that he is very much under pressure this Monday evening. I can assure you.
David,
go on.
I mean, forget Monday night football. This is Thursday club tactics.
Oh, so it is. We were wanting managers out a fortnight ago, remember?
David, do you want a job at St Johnstone or Hibs?
I'll tell you a situation, actually. I'll tell you a wee story. There was a manager I know this afternoon text me. It's like, if you got a contact at St Johnstone? I was like, no, I don't. Well, I know guys in the media team, and that's it. So I was like, right. Is this man? I emailed St Johnstone. I was like, hi guys, I hope you're well. There's this manager that's looking for a job in the women's team. Do you know anybody that's available? And they're like, it'll be advertised shortly. Get yourself in touch. I was like, so I phoned them back. I was like, the advertisement will be up soon, but I'm not being your agent, and that's one thing for certain.
David, are you putting your name in the hat as well then?
I might, after this performance, I might as well.
No, definitely, David. It's been great to see that.
Right, Brown and Adams are your two, right? I understand it's a white wine situation, but I'm just trying to be transparent to everybody. Brown and Adams is your two. I think they're pivotal tomorrow night because Moldova are quite naive, as I touched upon at the back. If we can get Robertson and Patterson involved, we need to get Brown and Adams involved. If they can be proactive, I can see the goals in this. There'll be similar situations to what Lyndon Dykes was like in a Scotland jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go 4-0 to Scotland. David, I think Jacob Brown could be very, very important, and the same with Che Adams.
Absolutely. I am going to go for Scotland to be consistent again and win 3-0. Finally, just to finish off, how important is the relationship between Henry, Suter and Tierney tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think it's very important, but I don't think they'll be troubled at the back. But I think it's very important, obviously, because John Suter's not played for Scotland in many years, but I think it's a very good opportunity that he'll do very well in, because he's done very well this season in the Scottish Premiership.
Absolutely. Now, here's hoping Steve Clark's actually listening in tonight and he can copy my fine tactics. It was just brought on to me off the cuff that I would bring these tactics into consideration. But that's all we've got time for. Regan, I've never passed by. I've loved this show. What a show we've had.
Oh, David, it's been great to be on again. And thank you for being a manager again.
No problem. I mean, if we win tomorrow night and Adams and Brown goes and scores the goals, I'll be the happiest man in my hometown tomorrow. Well, in my hometown, I mean Aberdeen, but I'm actually going to Dundee tomorrow because I'm going to watch the game in the pub and then I'm going to go to the Scotland Under-21s game. So, as we touched upon Tuesday, I'm hoping we can get some star shows in there for Scotland and potentially some up-and-coming prospects. I mean, with Aaron Hickey pull out, but I think we should be relying on life after Aaron Hickey.
David, I'm very much looking forward to it tomorrow. I think it'll be good, and hopefully Scotland can get a very good win at Dundee United tomorrow. I mean, I think it should be a game that we should win to guarantee all 3 points.
Absolutely. Now, thank you very much, and we're back tomorrow night. I don't know the timings yet, just to clarify, but I'm led to believe we're back with Colin Watt and Craig Leach tomorrow night. So, from me and Regan, thank you very much.
Thank you.